you? What do you want?
God sent me. Get out of here, man. I got to warn you. You're doomed to stay. Go.
Hello, friends and fiends, and happy Halloween 2023. And we're here to bring you an exciting new segment. Took us long enough, SlashOrama, where we're going to break down all your favorite slashers, young and old. And we're pretty excited about that. How you feeling, Mad Matt?
Like you said, I'm super excited because if I had to pick a certain category for horror movies, that's always my personal favorite. Has to be the slashers because when I grew up, Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, that was the only thing I wanted to watch as a young kid.
Yep.
And luckily, my parents, they wouldn't let me watch all, but there were a select few that I could get a hold of and watch, and it just kept my appetite whet for when I could get older and access the other titles. So, like I said, super excited about this episode.
Yep, and this new segment, it's going to be a good one. So, we're going to start off heavy, being at Halloween 2023 with the classic 78. As you can see behind us, Halloween, the John Carpenter classic.
Yeah, you can't beat Michael Myers in the original The Night He Came Home. It's just the stars aligned with that when you got John Carpenter, who's just a young director. He may have directed a few more before them. I know Assault on Precinct 13 was one that really kind of got him started and got his name out there. And like I said, this here is just like a low budget independent film that just hits all the right beats, and so I'm super excited about talking about it.
Yeah, and in a way, it paved the way. I mean, I know we can debate over what slashers came before it, what kind of paved the way for that, and so on and so forth. But this one definitely paved the way for going forward.
Because I know, like I said, you could go as far back as Psycho, but then afterwards you had this, and then Friday the 13th comes to mind, and then the boom really hit in the 80s. But like you said, Friday the 13th, Sean S. Cunningham, his whole motive for Friday the 13th was, I want to rip off Halloween.
Exactly.
So, like I said, perfect one to begin SlashOrama with.
That's right. And what road should we go down first here?
Well, we can definitely talk about what's beautiful about this movie is the casting. They got it right. So, you got Jamie Lee Curtis coming in as Laurie Strode. She's, the daughter of Janet Leigh, and John Carpenter purposefully wanted to do this as out of respect to Alfred Hitchcock casting her, and that paved her way down the future of being that scream queen. She followed it up with the Fog, Terror Train, Halloween 2, Prom Night. So she's definitely she sank her teeth into this role, and then was a real scream queen there for a while.
Yeah, and one of the final girls as well.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big deal.
And of course, you got Donald Pleasance in the iconic role of Dr. Loomis. And fun bit of trivia for that, John Carpenter actually offered it to Christopher Lee and Vincent Price. Vincent Price.
Yeah.
As well, but they both turned it down due to the money. But they both suggested Donald Pleasance. And like I said, that to me...
That worked out.
It worked out perfectly.
Because he's the iconic Loomis.
Yeah.
I shot him 6 times! 6 times!
And then, of course, you have many people, like the one that gets the credit, though, is Nick Castle, that plays the Shape. But, just the way they portray the character of Michael Hayes lurking in the shadows, and how he just comes out with the lighting and all that good stuff. So, like I said, it's just beautifully shot and just well constructed. Like I said, great cast of everybody to bounce around with. And
the lighting is perfect.
Lightning in a bottle.
It's exactly what he caught, And just how... you watch it, and it feels like autumn. It has that feel, the leaves on the ground, and you think about that. You think about the bushes outside of your house, and you think, the Shape could be behind those bushes right now.
And honestly, the great thing about this movie, too, is it's simplistic. It doesn't need no overarching plot or just multiple narratives going on within the movie. It's just a straight-up slasher movie, and like I say, it's just well-crafted. Just think about the opening scene, like the tile crawl with just the pumpkin in the background with that eerie music just setting the tone for what you're watching.
Yep.
And then you get that POV shot of Michael Myers as a young kid just free flowing, going through the house to pick up the knife, put the mask, so you're actually seeing his eyes.
Yep.
And then killing his sister, and then his parents come home, and I'm asking, you just see that kid there with that blank stare.
Yep.
As it cuts back out.
The blackest eyes.
Yeah.
The devil's eyes.
The devil's eyes.
That's right.
So I mean that's just like that whole opening sequence was a great way to set the tone for this film.
Oh yeah, and from there it just got better. You know.
And so like we kind of touched on earlier, it was an independent film. This wasn't backed by no big studio. It wasn't Paramount or Warner Brothers. Like, it was just an independent film that Mustafa Akkad, the legendary producer that really made his name from producing these movies, put up $300,000 to make this film.
Yep.
And for the longest time, it was the highest grossing independent film until some 4 amphibians knocked it off in 1990 with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But that's another story for another day.
And I believe now, what was it, with it being John Carpenter's Halloween, you know, he would then go on to, you know, have his name titled.
Yep.
You know, on all the other films, John Carpenter's The Fog.
Yep.
You know, John Carpenter's.
That was, like you said, that was one of
etc.
his stipulations. He wanted his name above the title. This is, like I said, John Carpenter's Halloween. I want that out front and center. So.
Yep.
And rightfully so, like I said, because him and Deborah Hill, they come up with this concept and just really nurtured it from the ground up and just did a fantastic job with it.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I mean, like I said, it's just a fantastic movie. And then like I said, we talked about the opening sequence, and you get to the sequence where Michael's escaping from Smith's Grove.
Oh, yeah. In the car.
And you got Loomis already warning the nurse, like, you know, telling her exactly how much Thorazine to give him, and she's like, that might kill a man, because you understand, this isn't a normal man we're talking about.
And then when he gets there, you know, of course, you got this is accompanied by the awesome music that was the score.
Right.
That's just building as they're driving along in the station. I believe, I can't remember if it was. It was the station wagon at that time. And then you finally get there, and you see the chaos that's already happened.
Yeah, people just already walking around the streets and all that good stuff. And for our HHN people, when they done that house last year, they really captured that moment really well when you're walking out there and see everybody roaming around.
Yeah, and the Loomis, we got some scares from the Loomis that would come out on the right.
Yeah,
you know,
so I shot him six
times.
But like I said, it's just that whole setting the mood and how he steals the car and he's heading back to Haddonfield. And then you got Dr. Loomis as just a man on a mission because he knows exactly where he's going, what he's going to do. And that leads us then to the next piece. Just a little bit of fun trivia while I went back and rewatched this movie. Have you ever paid attention to where when he still, like they talk about he broke into the hardware store and they stole a mask and some rope and things like that?
Yeah.
You see in the background shot, Michael Myers is driving that station wagon.
Right.
And one of the funniest things to me is when he's getting ready to turn out in the street, see Michael with his mask on, looking both ways before he goes across the street.
He's not stupid. He's going to obey traffic rules and regulations.
We'll murder everybody else, but like I said, traffic rules, we'll follow those.
That's right.
So, moving right along then, depending on which version of this you've watched, because there is a television version of that. I mean, this is going to lead me to one of my questions to you, like just to see what you think about, because this is kind of like something that's heavily debated amongst the Halloween community about whether they like or not. But if the regular theatrical version does not mention Laurie as his sister,
right?
So you have no motive at all, which I do think it works well, because you don't know what's motivating Michael, what's he doing, like why is he out here murdering all these teenagers, like what's his real motive? You have no idea, so it's scary because you don't know. Well, if you watch the TV version, they went back in whenever they were filming Halloween 2 and filmed a couple scenes with Donald Pleasance to kind of give that sister angle. Yeah. So you have like the one scene where they come in, he's got sister carved into his door, which is kind of like laying that groundwork because they were going to reveal that in Halloween 2. So my question to you is, how do you feel about the whole sister angle of the franchise? Because obviously when they went back in and redone Halloween in 2018, they kind of retconned everything after part 1 and just picked up from there and dropped that whole sister angle.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I mean, I know, like you said, the first bit where he had no motive except for just to murder.
Right.
You know, that's pretty damn creepy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got this guy, he's breaking out, he's coming into this town, he's killing the babysitters, and really anybody that gets in his way.
Right.
That's pretty darn scary.
Yeah.
And and you know, not to mention, you know, he's obviously resourceful.
Right.
Because he's stolen a car, he's plotted this escape, he's done all this. So he's not just like a lumbering, you know, kind of.
So you're okay then when they went back and retconned all that. You're fine with them leaving the whole sister angle out of it.
Yeah, I could have been okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now me, I'll take.
I mean, I admire it, and it's a cool way they went with it. But
Right.
yeah,
I definitely respect in the first movie how he had no intentions of having the sister angle, but I do like that angle myself, especially since they carried those sequels out. Because if Carpenter would have had his way, part one would have ended, and we never would have had another Halloween movie because he had no intentions of ever filming a sequel. He wanted that ambiguous ending just to leave the viewer guessing:
Right.
is he still out there? What's going on?
Right.
He had no intention of making a sequel. So for that aspect, I totally respect not having that sister aspect. But for those sequels that were going forward, to me, you have to have some type of motivation, especially if you're going to bring back these legacy characters, because it's almost like if there's no motivation, why does it keep coming back around?
exactly. Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
So for me, I kind of missed that angle to it, but at the same time, I understand what they were going for in those remake or the reboot, excuse me, or the requel, whatever they call it now, the requel.
Yeah.
I understand what they were going for, and the ones that don't like that sister angle, I understand and I respect. But the ones that did get their tails ruffled a little bit, I definitely understand that as well. So,
Yeah.
like I said, that's a good pick your brain on that one. So I appreciate you let me ask that question.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not going to lose sleep over either angle really, because I like especially the first two films are just great, and I love part 3 as well. But that's
Yeah.
a whole different beast.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely we'll be getting into those as time goes on.
Oh yeah,
So, continuing on then, another fun bit of trivia then that I know if you're a diehard Halloween fan, you already know this, but maybe if you just discovered these movies, maybe you're like a young buck and just now getting into the slasher movies.
yeah.
One of the
Gotta
great
start
things,
somewhere.
one of the great things about Michael Myers' mask is a repurposed William Shatner mask.
Yep.
And there's some great YouTube videos out there. If you want to search, they'll actually show you how you can take the mask and you'll hollow the eyes out a little bit more, tease the hair, spray paint it white, and boom, you have your own Michael Myers mask. But I always thought that was just a great job of the ingenuity that they come up with to make such an emotionless face. You hear Loomis talk about it, but then they find a mask to go along with how it's emotionless. You
Yep.
don't convey anything to the audience. You can't see his eyes, which just like you talking about earlier adds to a whole new level of creepiness to it, because you don't know if he's like back there enjoying what he's doing, or maybe he has inner demons and he's kind of fighting with himself doing what you just have no idea. He's like the shark from Jaws. It's just a killing machine.
And I had read somewhere along the lines that Carpenter said, I want him to be part supernatural.
Yep.
I want him to have that mythos
Right.
of what is this thing? Is it a person? Is it not? You
Yeah.
know? And so he definitely achieved that goal.
Absolutely, and like that'll be another one we can get into as far as like the Halloween remake that Rob Zombie done. But like you're talking about, that's exactly what Carpenter was talking about. What he didn't like about the remake was how Michael kind of loses that mystique. Like you said, he's almost like a supernatural force, like you're saying.
Yep.
And the movie just makes him more of a killing machine,
A brute killer. Yeah.
And like I said, that'd be another topic for another day. But moving along then with the plot, then you're introduced like obviously to Lori and her friends, and they kind of fall. Well, actually, this one almost created those teenage tropes, like if you do drugs or if you're promiscuous, have sex, then you're going to die.
These are the rules of the slasher.
Yeah, exactly. So you have Lori's character, being the straight-laced babysitter's always going to do good, always there for her friends, and then her other friends are like the little bit of wild ones. It kind of sets up who's going to perish and who's going to survive.
Right.
But then when we get to the meat of the movie, where Lori's out babysitting Tommy, and they're carving the jack-o'-lantern, and her friend Annie calls wanting to bring Lindsay over there with them, and a good bit of foreshadowing for what Carpenter wanted to do in the future. They're watching the Thing from Another World on the TV.
Exactly.
And as you know, Fright fans, that's another classic that we'll get into at another time. But like John Carpenter went on to direct The Thing, so I love that little bit of foreshadowing, how he's letting you know the movies he grew up on and what he loved.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, as a horror fan, now you can kind of piece that together as you see his work, what he done in the future.
Says that's classic. I knew that was in there, but it's not one that sat with me.
Right.
And then you bring it back up again. I'm like, that is right. Yeah.
And so moving along, then you see Michael as he's stalking Annie throughout the house, like in the legendary Dean Cundy, who is a cinematographer for this movie.
Oh yeah. Dean
my
Cundy,
gosh.
legend.
Yeah, just did an amazing job of all these shots, and how Michael's just kind of lurking in the shadows, and you don't see him, and then the lighting just kind of barely pops up, and you can see nothing but his face. and just the way they done that is like it just adds to that atmosphere and just gives you that uneasy feeling because you never know since he is just popping in and out. Where is he? Is he in the room or is he just still lurking in the shadows?
And coming from a behind the scenes filmmaking perspective, to film something that is actually in the shadows but is only just a little bit of it visible is not an easy thing to do. It's definitely easier to show more than to show less and have just a little piece of the face visible, the eyes, whatnot, what have you. So, but the way they, Dean Cundy and Carpenter, and every time this is just a natural thing that I do now. I will even see Dean Cundy pop up on other films.
Yep.
And the first thing I say when I'm watching opening credits, I'll go, Dean Cundy. Because there he is.
And the movie's going to be shot well.
It's going to be shot well. It might not be the best film.
Right.
But there's Dean Cundy. So.
And then just keeping it rolling, then you finally have like just the kill. Like Annie is just a simple kill. Like he strangles her in the car, but man, it's effective because he pops up from that back seat. You hear her screaming, the horns honking.
Oh yeah.
And then you have Lori's friends come on over. They're thinking Annie's still going to be there, but they think she's done went out with her boyfriend. And of course they're fooling around. You have that iconic kill.
Yep.
Where Michael stabs the boyfriend into the kitchen wall.
Into the wall.
And I mean, obviously, you got to suspend disbelief because nobody's going to hang there. But man, that is a great shot, and you see Michael sitting there tilting that head.
And the amount of strength that it would actually take.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you're right. That's just great. Though.
Yeah. And like I said, just and then Linda obviously gets hers when she's talking to Lori, gets strangled on the phone. You hear like you're screaming and breathing heavy, and it's just.
And the sheet.
Yeah, the sheet.
Sheet with the glasses on it.
Yeah, Michael dresses up as the ghost. Yep. That's fantastic. Fantastic.
And, so there is something going on inside Michael.
Yeah.
To make him think, okay, I'm going to put the sheet on with the glasses over it.
To make her think it's Bob.
To make her think it's Bob. But so there is something going on in that mind.
Right.
But who knows what that could be.
And then obviously after both of them meet their maker, sets up that final showdown for Lori to come over and do some investigating, trying to find out why nobody's answering the phone.
Exactly.
And then she discovers the bodies, and the way Michael does it, as the movie, like you said, it does show Michael's thought process. Because not only does he have the wherewithal to, I need to hide the bodies, he hides them in ways which are just very creative, and obviously will give you that jump scare. But like how he lays Annie out in the bed and has his sister's tombstone in there with the candles.
Yep.
Carpenter's does, like I said, great job setting the atmosphere with that one.
Yep, and touching just a quick little base on the HHN house last year. These scenes were in the house, and as far as the house goes, it was a great house.
Oh yeah, I love that house.
It had all the boxes that you'd like to check from this film. So,
absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that. And like I said, once you get to that finale, like obviously throughout the movie, you got Loomis sprinkled in with Sheriff Brackett, and like Donald Pleasance at one point in the movie gives that famous monologue, like I said, has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and then just talks about how for 15 years he hasn't spoken a word, and just really like let you know the type of evil you're dealing with, and how it's just not a normal man. There's just like pure evil within Michael that's the driving force of him.
Yep.
And then throughout the rest of the movie, you just don't know. Like obviously, he's capable of a lot, but you don't know what he's fully capable of doing.
Loomis seems like he's always 10 minutes behind, 5 minutes behind. He's always just right there.
Or he's standing in the street looking around, and the car will just drive right by.
So he's always kind of right there, but never right there. You know what I mean? So
then, like I said, it sets up that final showdown with Lori in the house, and like. You used to have them like battling downstairs, and they battle upstairs, and you get the iconic scene where she's stuck in the closet. And Michael's just busting down the closet door, and she takes the coat hanger and pops him right in the eye.
Yep.
And so, like I said, just Carpenter does a great job of building that suspense. And like she's already a little bit wounded where she falls down the steps, so she's like limping across, trying to get across the street, and Michael's just at a brisk pace coming after her.
Yep.
And so, like I said, Carpenter just does a great job of building that suspense throughout the movie. And
you got that score, too, that just leads the whole thing. And that score just carrying it through.
Well, I've actually seen critics, like I said, we were talking about that. That's a great job bringing up the score. Talking about how if you take the score out of this movie, it may not be, it's still going to be a good movie, but it may not be as iconic. That score actually breathes life into this movie.
Oh, yeah. And it's just a few little notes at the beginning, you know, and then it just kind of little subtle doo-doo, 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 and then, you know.
No, you're absolutely right. And then, speaking of how Dr. Loomis is always like he's there, but he's not there. He finally shows up at the time they need him.
Yep.
And shoots Michael how many times?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Shoots him
6 times.
Which leads to that ending. And a bit of trivia on this: Carpenter actually filmed 2 different versions of this ending because he didn't know which one he wanted to go with. He has one where he comes out and Loomis looks shocked that Michael is gone. And then he comes out and looks and filmed another sequence where Loomis looks like he's not surprised that he's gone because, you know, he kind of expected this.
He's evil.
Yep.
Evil.
And then you have the shots just looking around the neighborhood and you see like the leaves blowing. You like see hear that eerie music, but you can hear Michael breathing in that mask in and out, in and out. And that's how your movie ends. Like I said, it's just a beautiful way to end it because then you're like, he's still out there. What else can he do? You know, obviously they didn't catch him, but he's still out there.
Oh, yeah. And that just a classic 78.
Yeah.
78 Halloween in a nutshell there. And, you know, it stands the test of time for a reason, and it's a legend for a reason, you know. And, I mean, a lot of fans behind this one.
Oh, yes. Hordes of fans. Like I said, went on to countless sequels, remakes, reboots, requels.
It's probably scared the hell out of hundreds of babysitters
yeah.
over the years, you know.
And I love, like I said, I always love the numbers. Like I said, it had a budget of $300,000, and back in 1978, it made $47 million, which back in those, like, you know, back almost 50 years ago, that was a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
And it paved the way for John Carpenter to do whatever he wanted to do. Like I said, you had The Thing come out, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China. Just, I mean, so many classics that you can just
pretty much
notch off.
Paved the way for him to be a legend, to become a legend.
Absolutely.
You know.
So, is there anything else you want to add to the granddaddy of the slasher flicks?
No, it's just, I mean, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor, you know, and I recommend putting it in right about sundown.
Oh, yes.
And you know, right about now is good, when the leaves are changing colors, and get you some popcorn and carve a jack-o'-lantern or whatever you're going to do, and turn off all the lights. See if you can make it through in the dark. You know, Halloween 78.
Yep. The night he came home.
The night he came home. But yeah, Friends and Fiends, that's about all we got for this SlashOrama. But stick with us. We're going to have more SlashOramas, more creature features, more Stephen King, Hail to the Kings, and always more horror night footage. Stick with us because we're going to have some more ranking videos, some more house video stuff coming out, and we're going to have some stuff about the tour the 6 house tour. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Yep. And make sure you drop a like. And if you hadn't already, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends, enemies. You know, we don't care to share with anybody.
Your psychiatrist.
Yep.
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
And, as always, friends, remember, happy Halloween from Blood and Guts.